All right. Checkride audio flashcards, or private pilot checkride audio flashcards. All right. To be eligible for a private pilot, to be eligible for a private pilot certification, a person must be at least 17 years old, 16 to start, pass an applicable knowledge and practical test, speak English, hold at least a third-class medical, receive a proper logbook endorsement for ground and flight training, meet the flight time experience requirements for the private pilot rating. What are the privileges and limitations of your private pilot certificate? You may not carry passengers or property for compensation or hire, may not pay less than the pro rata share of the operating expenses of the flight with passengers, provided the expenses involve only fuel, oil, airport expenditures, and rental fees. May act as pilot in command of a charitable nonprofit or community flight, may be reimbursed for aircraft operating expenses that are directly related to search and location operations. A private pilot who is an aircraft salesman and who has at least 200 hours of logged flight time may demonstrate an aircraft in flight to a prospective buyer. All right. What documents must you have in your possession to act as PIC? Pilot qualifications, pilot certificate, medical certificate, and government issued photo ID, 14 CFR 61.3. What is a high-performance airplane, and what are the requirements to act as PIC of such an airplane? A high-performance airplane is an airplane with more than 200 horsepower. In order to act as PIC of such an airplane, you must log ground and flight training from a CFI. That CFI must issue a logbook endorsement certifying you are proficient to operate a high-performance airplane. 14 CFR Part 61.31. What is a complex airplane, and what are the requirements to act as PIC? A complex airplane is an airplane that has flaps, retractable landing gear, and controllable pitch propeller. You must log ground flight training from a CFI. That instructor must then issue a log endorsement certifying you are proficient to operate complex airplane. Hey guys, thanks for logging in and liking and saying hi and happy Easter, happy holidays, enjoy your holidays. I'm just using this live version so that way I don't have to record and then resubmit and save that information on my phone and do edits. I'm just trying to do the live so I can get these audio flashcards. If they help anybody else, that's great. These are also to help me so I can just listen to them while I'm doing my cross countries. But here's the back of that one. Can you act as PIC of a tailwheel airplane without additional training as a private pilot? No. In order to act as a pilot in command of a tailwheel airplane, you must receive and log ground and flight training from a CFI and receive a logbook endorsement certifying you are proficient to operate tailwheel airplane. With respect to airman certification, define category, class, and type. Category is like what type of airframe are you in. The category could be airplane, rotorcraft, which is helicopter and stuff like that, lighter than air, hot air balloons, or powered lift. Class is like, if you're in an airplane, is it a single engine, multi-engine, is it sea, land, etc. And then type, we talking about Cessna 130, Cessna 172, an A320, a 777, or a Boeing 77 Max, etc. What recurrent training requirements, if any, are there to maintain PIC privileges on any aircraft as a private pilot? You must accomplish a flight review every 24 calendar months with a CFI and receive a logbook endorsement. Passing a practical test for a pilot certificate or rating within the last 24 calendar months also satisfies this requirement. So if you get a new rating, you don't have to do another test out. What are the requirements to carry passengers as a private pilot? To carry passengers as a private pilot, you must complete at least 3 takeoffs and landings within the preceding 90 days in an aircraft of the same category, class, and type if required. If you are carrying passengers within the time period from 1 hour after sunset, 1 hour after sunset, to 1 hour before sunrise, these 3 landings must be made to a full stop during that time period. So practice at night. How many days do you have to notify the FAA of an address change? You must notify the FAA within 30 days. What are the 3 medical certificates and how long are they valid? Okay, so I have a big chart with this information. But, alright, so if you're under 40, which I am under 40, first class ATP, with the first class medical, ATP privileges last 12 months, and then the private pilot privileges under a class 3 last 60 months. Second class commercial privileges last 12 months, private pilot privileges last 60 months. Third class private pilot privileges last 60 months. Basic med, limited private pilot privileges last up to 48 months. You must do your med review within a certain amount of years. I'll go over that one again later. If you're over 40 years old, ATP privileges last 6 months. Private pilot privileges last 24 months. Commercial privileges for class 2 last 12 months. Private pilot privileges 24 months. Third class private pilot privileges 24 months. Limited private pilot for basic med, limited private pilot privileges lasting 48 months. What are the requirements to fly under basic med? Possess a U.S. driver's license, have held a medical certificate after July 14, 2006, receive a physical exam from a physician using comprehensive medical exam checklist, complete an online basic medical education course, retake that course every 24 calendar months, physical exam every 48 months to the day. When flying under basic med, what limitations apply? You may fly any aircraft authorized to carry not more than 6 occupants, 5 passengers plus the 1 pilot. Fly any aircraft with a maximum certificated takeoff weight of not more than 6,000 pounds. Fly at an indicated airspeed of 250 knots or less, and fly at or below 18,000 feet MSL, mean sea level. Does a student pilot certificate ever expire? Student pilot certificates issued after April 1st, 2016 do not expire and are valid until the student successfully completes a higher certification. Do you need to take your logbook with you when you fly? No, only when soloing as a student pilot. When is a VFR flight plan required? The VFR flight plans are required. My apologies. VFR flight plans are usually VFR flight plans are not usually mandatory. International flights within the Washington, D.C., SFRA, FRZ, and flights through TFRs all require a flight plan. Additionally, crossing air defense identification zones, ADIZ, requires a defense VFR flight plan. So VFR are generally not required unless you're going to one of the special areas. What are the documents required to be aboard the aircraft? This is your aero. Airworthiness certificate, registration, radio station license, international flights only, operating limitation, weight and balance information sheet. That's all in my one booklet, except for the airworthiness. What are the required aircraft inspections? Aviate, with the I being a 1. Annual, every 12 calendar months. VOR, every 30 days for IFR flights. 100 hour, if the airplane is being operated for hire. Altimeter, pedostatic, every 24 calendar months for IFR and airworthiness directives. Transponders every 24 calendar months, and ELT every 12 calendar months or half usage. Does an airworthiness certificate ever expire? A standard airworthiness certificate remains valid as long as the aircraft meets its approved type, design, is in a condition for safe operation and maintenance. Preventative maintenance and alterations are performed in accordance with 14 CFR Parts 21, 43, and 91. What is responsible for ensuring an aircraft is maintained in an airworthy condition? The owner, or my apologies, I was messed up. Who is responsible for ensuring an aircraft is maintained in an airworthy condition? Who is responsible for ensuring an aircraft is maintained in an airworthy condition? The owner/operator, not the pilot. When will an aircraft registration certificate expire? Aircraft registrations expire every 7 years. Every 7 years. When does an ELT battery have to be replaced or recharged? How often must an ELT be inspected? After 1 hour of cumulative use or 50% of the battery charge or useful life as determined by the manufacturer has been used, every 12 calendar months. What aircraft are required to have a 100-hour inspection? All aircraft under 12,500 pounds, non-turbine engine, used to carry passengers for hire, including aircraft used for flight instruction and for hire. Who may perform a 100-hour inspection? What about annual inspections? An A&P can perform a 100-hour inspection. Only an A&P IA inspection authorization can perform in the annual inspection. Can an annual inspection substitute a 100-hour inspection? Yes. An annual inspection may take the place of a 100-hour inspection. However, a 100-hour inspection cannot take the place of an annual inspection. Your aircraft is operated for hire and it has been 99 hours since the last 100-hour inspection. The nearest mechanic is 4-hour flight away. Is it legal for you to fly to the mechanic? Yes. The 100-hour limitation may be exceeded, but not more than 10 hours while en route to reach a place where the inspection can be done. The excess time used to reach a place where the inspection can be done must be included in computing the next 100 hour of time in service. Where must an airworthiness certificate be located? The airworthiness certificate must be displayed at the cabin or cockpit entrance so that is legible to passengers and crew. I guess it would be viewable, readable. What is a convective segment? What would cause one to be issued? Segment. What is a convective segment and what would cause one to be used? Convective segments are issued to notify pilots of severe convective activity associated with severe turbulence, severe icing, and low-level wind shear. specifically embedded thunderstorms, a line of thunderstorms with heavy precipitation affecting 40% plus of an area, at least 3,000 square miles, surface winds of 50 knots or greater, hail 3/4 inches in diameter, and tornadoes. PHAC 1312. Okay. What is temperature inversion? An increase as opposed to a decrease in temperature as altitude increases. Because normally it goes down, so inversion would be it going up as you increase in altitude. What is a stationary front? What is an occluded front? Stationary, when the forces of two air masses are relatively equal. The boundary on the front that separates them remains stationary and influences the local weather for days. Occluded occurs when a fast-moving cold front catches up to a slow-moving warm front. What is a cold front? What is a warm front? Cold front is a body of cold, dense, stable air flowing into and lifting warm air. A warm front, a body of warm air overtaking or replacing cooler air. What causes weather? The uneven heating of the Earth's surface by the sun. What are the three types of structural icing, and how does ice affect the aircraft? Clear, rime, and mixed. Thrust decreases, drag increases, lift decreases, weight increases, stall speeds increase. Stall speed increases. What are the main categories of icing? Structural and induction. How are upslope, steam, radiation, and advection fog formed? Upslope. Wind pushes moist, stable air upslope to an altitude at which the temperature reaches the dew point. Steam. A cold air mass moves over warm water. Water gives off warm vapor which comes into contact with cold air and condenses. Radiation. On calm, clear nights, heat absorbed by the ground during the day is radiated into space. The surface cools, humidity reaches 100%, and fog forms. Advection. Warm, moist air moves over a cooler surface such as water. This lower temp of air to its dew point. This lowers the temperature of the air to its dew point, condensing water vapor into fog. What are the types of fog, and in general, when can you expect fog to form? Steam, precipitation, radiation, upslope, and advection. When the temperature and dew point spread is less than 3 degrees Celsius. What is a squall line and what is a microburst? A squall line is a narrow band of strong thunderstorms. A microburst is localized downdraft within a thunderstorm that can cause significant changes in wind direction and speed near the ground, causing rapid loss of lift and control difficulties. All right, that's it for that one. How do I end this thing?